there's a way where you can prevent your billing from running wild in Azure by leaving things like, say, running a VM. We'll use GitHub Actions and use resource groups on Azure to blow them away and prevent them from running a huge bill at the end of the day. Let's take a look how we can do that. All right, so we have a few things to cover. First, let's start with the GitHub repository. We have a GitHub repository over here that contains some GitHub Actions, and we're going to take a look at that one. And that GitHub Action, so far, the only thing that does is it has the Azure credentials, which is the secret JSON output that comes when you create a service principal, an Azure service principal. And so far, this doesn't do anything except logging into Azure, authenticates here in line 13. And we'll take a look at how that works later. And then we have over here, I've created a sample Azure resource, which in this case is a storage account. It's a storage account in Azure, allows you to create Samba shares and all kinds of other storage. And I've created with this name with a new resource group called demo storage account. So the idea here is that using a resource group, I might be able to identify things that I do not want, that I want to remove, that I want to get rid of, and I'll remove at the end of the day or even on demand. Okay, so those are the things here in the web. And now I want to show you my terminal. I've logged in with the Azure CLI, and I am going to list my groups that are available here. So I'm going to use AZ group list, and the output is going to be a table. So you can see here that I have the default resource group for the central US and the network watcher thing. And I may have other things. I may have something that is production, but anything that is a demo, I use this demo name inside. So it could be demo storage account or even storage account demo or something like that. So what I want to do here is explore ways where I can catch this guy over here so that I can remove it later. What I want is to identify what's a demo resource group so I can remove all of its resources, that storage account in this case. So what I want to do here is I'm going to use a query, which is an ability of the Azure command line tool, and I am going to say, I'm going to open quotes, brackets. It's a special notation called GMESPath, and I'm going to say name that contains, which is a specialty function over there. And I'm going to say this has to contain anything that contains demo. That's something that I want to take a look. And if I run this, then I get my demo storage account because that's that name over there. Okay, perfect. Now I'm going to use a utility called JQ, and JQ allows me to work with JSON. I'm going to say what I want is from that array that came in, I want to work with just the name. I want to capture that name. Perfect. I get demo storage account. So we're making progress here. I'm getting exactly what I need in order to remove it. So the idea is that I'm going to run this command. I am going to put it in a GitHub action and then remove that demo storage account either on a cadence, so every hour or every day or every night, or I can use it on demand as well. So, okay, so now we have that, but there's a problem, right? Well, I don't need to have those quotes. So a trick that you can use with JQ is to use the -R that stands for raw. Okay, perfect. So this is the command. This is the magical command that we want, and we're going to get that on the GitHub action. So back to the GitHub action right here, and I'm going to edit right there on the web. I'm not going to open up my editor to edit this YAML file. So if we've managed to log in, we're going to put here another name. We're going to say name. Let's say get demo resource groups. And I'm going to say we want to run a command. I'm going to do this so that I can use a put it in the next line. So I'm going to say group AZ. Actually, well, I just need to copy paste. I just need to copy paste what I had before on the terminal. So all these line right here, I'm gonna copy that and then go back to the web and put it right there. Now the thing that this is going to do is going to produce the same output. All right. So the first thing that we need to do is to try to run it as is and see what that happens. All right. First, try to list resource groups, and then I'm going to commit the changes. And because this has a workflow dispatch, I can run it on demand. So I'm going to go here to the Actions tab. I'm going to run the remove demo resource groups. All right, so I'm right there, run the workflow, and I'm going to click there and click run workflow. Now this takes just a second. We're gonna refresh here, and it's going to appear. There we go, and we have removed demo resource groups, and this is not removing anything yet. What we want is to see if this is actually going to be able to log into Azure. Perfect, it's authenticating to Azure. Now it's getting all of the demo resource groups. It finished, everything's fine, but let's take a look at the output. All right, so we're gonna run, we ran the AZ group, and then we are going to see the demo storage account here. Perfect. So the next step is to actually delete that. Now, GitHub Actions doesn't have a for loop, so you have to find ways around it. So one way to do this, and I'm gonna go back here to the Actions tab here. So I'm going to leave it there so I can come back and run it again. So what we need to do, I'm going to go back to the GitHub Action right here. I'm going to edit. I'm going to redirect the output. I'm going to redirect the output here in line 20 to say, for example, demo dash groups that text. So that's going to save everything temporarily there in that text file. And then I'm going to create another step saying remove demo resource groups. All right, so first one, we're getting the demo resource groups, then we're going to delete them, and next we're going to run them, and we're going to use a multi-line. That's why I'm using that pipe thing there, and the multi-line is going to be while read dash r group semicolon do, and I'm going to hit return, and right here I'm going to say AZ, which is the Azure command line tool, the Azure CLI command to delete the group. So I'm going to say delete, I had a typo over there, and I'm going to say dash Y for yes, and N for the name, and $group will be the variable that I assigned in the previous line, semicolon over there, and then I'm going to say done, and I'm going to read from the demo groups that text. All right, with that, I'm going to commit those changes, going to run again and see if I get rid of my storage account that is in a resource group that has demo in it. Right, update workflow, commit changes, and then going to back to the actions, and I'm going to run the workflow. I'm going to click from the branch, from the main branch. I'm going to wait a second there, and hopefully this will be successful and we'll get a deletion. All right, so this is running. Let's take a look. I'm going to click on there. I'm going to load the actions. I'm going to look at the output over here, and it's going to authenticate towards Azure. And now it produced the output on demo-groups.txt, and now it's going to proceed to remove all of the resource groups. Now, removing resource groups in Azure, it's kind of like intensive. So the Azure CLI has to contact Azure and has to go through each resource group, which in turn has to find everything that it belongs to that resource group, every single service, every single storage account, anything and everything that is belongs to that resource group will get removed. So this will take a while, and we'll see in a second what happens when that finishes. Okay, so that completed. It actually took quite a bit. It took 2 minutes and 5 seconds for a single resource group. That was kind of like intensive. It took its time to go through that. The output doesn't tell you much because it's just a for loop here in Bash, and it ran the deletion of the groups. And when we listed, that went to the demo-groups.txt, so that output is not there. So that's how you remove these resource groups. Let's take a look at my storage account here. This is still there. If I refresh, it should tell me that it's not found. So no longer found. It's not available. My resource is no longer there. And one last check that I can do is go here to my terminal and I say az group list -o table, and that storage account is no longer there. So there you have it. That is how you create a brute force deletion of resource groups that you don't want. This will allow you to basically avoid having things running if you run it on a schedule. Right now I have it on workflow dispatch, but you can set a schedule and run every night. And therefore, like if you forget to turn off a VM, now you have a way of managing that. So there you have it. Hopefully you find it useful and you implement some sort of like even a better version of these that can match certain constraints in your infrastructure.